Anna, this is shaping up to be what looks like, at least in the polls now, an incredibly tight presidential race. The front runners, President Joe Biden, former President Donald Trump, neck and neck in the polls. But in the latest Wall Street Journal poll, which just came out, there are some surprising advantages for Donald Trump. He leads Biden by 11 points among those polls on those who say they had a record of which had a better record of accomplishment. Trump leads by 11 points. And on the issue of who is more mentally up to the task of the presidency, he leads by 10 points. These are different numbers you're seeing right now. How do you explain that edge for Trump on those subjects?
Frankly, I think people have forgotten how bad Donald Trump was. I think people have forgotten all the gaffes and mistakes that Donald Trump made as president, while the ones that Joe Biden makes are, front and center, and they are national news media. They get national news media and national news media attention. I think people have forgotten what a stressful, horrible, divisive time for America the Trump presidency was. The daily tweets leading to culture wars, the attacks on people personally, the dominant attacks on international leaders, just the way we lived for 4 years. I think people have forgotten that. And it's going to be the Biden campaign's job, should Donald Trump be the nominee, to remind America what we went through those 4 years, to remind America the horror that led to January 6th, to remind America about the dysfunction in that government, the corruption, about the children in government, about the billions of dollars that have been raised by those children after they left government. Those are all the jobs that Joe Biden's going to have to focus on. Frankly, he hasn't laid a glove on Donald Trump yet because he's not the nominee. So I'm not sure that these polls are anything that they should be losing sleep about, but they should definitely be thinking about.
I tell you what, someone said, that Biden, he's getting old, man. I tell you what. Well, guess what? The only thing that comes with age is a little bit of wisdom. I've been doing this longer than anybody, and I guess what? I'm going to continue to do it with your help. In fact, the guy who held this job before me was just one of 2 presidents in history. He was but here's the important point, one of 2 presidents in history that left office with fewer jobs in America than when he got elected office.
So this morning, President Biden highlighted how he thinks his economic agenda is boosting the economy. He talked in front of a group of union leaders at a Labor Day event in Philadelphia, and it happened just as a new Wall Street Journal poll is out this morning with a stark warning as he seeks re-election. A majority of voters, 58%, said they believe the economy is worse since Biden took office. 51% of voters see Donald Trump as having a record of accomplishment as president, according to 40% who said the same about Biden. Trump's also up by a 10-point margin when it comes to who voters think is mentally up to the presidency. 46% said that Trump is mentally fit to serve versus 36% who said the same of Biden. Those are some pretty bleak numbers if you're a Democrat who wants to see Joe Biden get reelected. How do you explain them?
That message is clear. You need an energetic, vigorous campaign over the next year plus and get that message out. And I think the result, the American people, that will resonate with them. Inflation is still coming down.
You use the words energetic and vigorous. A lot of Democrats are concerned with President Biden's age. President Biden made a joke about his age today, by the way, when he was in Philadelphia. So it's not a subject that is unknown to him. Do you think he is capable of the energetic, vigorous campaign you're talking about?
He's going to have to be. He's going to have a lot to talk about, and it needs to be done in a very energetic way.
You said he's going to have to be. My question was, is he up to the task? That's not a yes or no. That's a he's going to have to be. What concerns do you have, if any?
Well, I think it directly reflects where the polling is right now. I mean, there's recent polling out in just the last few days showing that voters, overwhelmingly say that Donald Trump is better for the economy and he has a better vision for the future. I believe he has an 8-point spread over the current president on that front. So President Biden is trying to double down on his message, on his platform, on his policy, saying that this administration and what we've done is going to be good for the future. The question is whether and when the voters will buy that.
Well, the challenge is, do the American people actually buy that? This is what the Wall Street Journal poll said about whether or not they believe that Biden's doing a good job here. 37%, that's it, approve of the president's performance on the economy. 59% disapprove. And look at inflation and rising costs. Even as inflation has subsided and things are looking more positive on the job front, 34% approve of his job performance on inflation. 48% disapprove. Those are troubling numbers for the White House. Interesting number that the White House needs to pay attention to in this reelection bid about Biden versus Trump and who has a strong record of accomplishment. Just 40% say Biden does. 51% believe that Donald Trump has. That same poll has some concerning numbers if you're the White House about the head-to-head matchup with Biden versus Trump. 46 to 46% right now, a snapshot, August 24th to 30th. That's when that poll was taking a dead heat. There's also a troubling data point in that same poll for the White House. 73% of voters say they think Biden is too old to seek the White House, even though 77-year-old Donald Trump, not much younger than Joe Biden, 47%, just that 47%, don't think Trump is too old.
But in the last block, when you talked about who has a record of accomplishment and voters who responded to that Wall Street Journal poll, 40% said President Biden and 51% said former President Trump. That is troubling because President Biden's message going into the reelect is 4 more years of what we've done. Mm-hmm. If the voters aren't buying that message, then they need a new message.
Yeah, exactly. Finish the job.
And in a Labor Day speech, President Biden touting his handling of the economy with low unemployment and inflation trending down. He says Bidenomics trumps his predecessor's record, but new polls show most Americans aren't buying it.
And when you put Trump against Biden, they're both in a dead heat when it comes to a face-off potentially in a general election. But the key block right there, that undecided 8%. And then a key issue between the two. President Biden in his 80s, Trump in his late 70s. Age is a big issue. The new polling shows 73% think Biden is too old for the job, while only 47% think Trump has too many birthdays under his belt. Now, 46%, let's look at the mental acuity, mental fitness part of things, partly related to, of course, the age considerations that 36% say Biden is up for the job. 46% say for former President Trump. Now, the White House continues to push back on the age and economy questions.
And yet, if you look at polling, Trump is only about 3 years younger than Biden. Biden, I think we have that poll to show our viewers, Biden routinely is viewed by those questioned in the poll as being unable to do the job because of his age in comparison to former President Donald Trump.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw a poll that you guys put up. 1/3 of voters think that he is mentally able, and that is Biden. Mm-hmm. And for Trump, it's only about 10 points higher. So on the one hand, you've got Biden, who's 80. On the other, you've got Trump, who's 77. And, you know, Alice made a great point. It cuts both ways.
President Biden spending part of this Labor Day in the battleground state of Pennsylvania. He praised union workers, defended his handling of the economy, and slammed former President Trump's record. But even with unemployment at historic lows, a healthy stock market, and falling inflation, the president is having a tough time selling his Bidenomics. A new Wall Street Journal poll out today shows just 37% of those that responded approve of Biden's handling of the economy. Nearly 6 in 10 disapprove.
Out front next, leaning into the economy. President Biden ramping up his re-election campaign as he pushes his economic vision. But so far, he's struggling to impress voters. Why is that?
For people like you, because when it works for people like you, it works for everybody.
Yet not everybody is sold on Biden's plan. In fact, he is struggling to convince voters that his administration has been good for the economy. A new poll from the Wall Street Journal finds 58% of voters say the economy has gotten worse over the past 2 years. Just 28% say it's gotten better, which is why today President Biden tried to hammer home the point that he is better for jobs than his predecessor and potential 2024 competitor.
As for a potential Trump-Biden matchup in the general election, it's 40-39 with 3% for 2 third-party candidates and a large number, 17%, undecided. Head-to-head without third parties and voters forced to choose, the two are tied at 46. Joe, there had been conventional wisdom that Donald Trump maybe couldn't lose a primary but can't win a general election. The latest Wall Street Journal poll has him neck and neck with Joe Biden right there. So do you think that conventional wisdom needs to go out the window? Do you think Trump could win a general election?